This is going to be really nasty, man. Really nasty. It's about a prenup and what happens to a prenup if it's contested. Even though you have a prenup, I'm in the state of Florida. I thought I was doing everything right. I had assets. I didn't know if my ex-wife, what type of assets she had. I didn't know what type of trouble she was in. I didn't know about her financial situation. I just thought we were made for each other. She was in her mid-40s. I was in my 50s. I had a career. She didn't have a career. She's from the country of Colombia. I'm from the United States. In Florida, met her in Florida, dated a couple years, off and on. I wouldn't say off and on. It was more, I had a full-time career, so I was still traveling a lot. I didn't marry from the first wife to the second wife for 22 years. 22 years. I was burnt on the first one. I had 12 years of marriage, but 18 years of alimony. Child support, raising my kids, paying for college tuitions, raising them, playing all the sports, all the excitement, even participated in their weddings and so on. I was engaged. I was really engaged. This wife, no children, Catholic, actually met her in church, went through the process and said, okay, let's get married and go through a prenup. The prenup was talked about. We went to a Catholic retreat. It was talked about at that time. We went through the Catholic Church's Q&A, which is basically the same thing. They ask you if you have a prenup, so it's notarized, it's signed. It's a contract. It's a contract that you're going to get married, not only in the state of Florida, you're married in the Catholic Church, which I had annulment for my first wife in 1989. I was prepared to marry the second time. My second wife was never married. So I treated it like it was the first marriage for her, paid for the wedding, took care of the family, took care of everything, okay? We had a prenup. I did everything right. I thought I did. The attorney even second-guessed me. Rock, you sure you want to marry this woman? She's only got $10,000, less than $10,000 in the prenup. I says, don't worry about it. She's got a couple jobs. She's making a few bucks. No children. My home. Thank God I put everything under contract, which is the prenup. At the time of divorce, we talked about it almost every year. For those 12 years, almost every year we talked about divorce. Why don't you go live with your parents or go with your sister? She had no friends. It was bad. And I was a workaholic. There's no doubt. No doubt. And we had different interests. The only thing we really had in common was God. We're both Catholic. But then I realized, you know what? Our faith is different. Her faith and her deal was different than mine. I was raised Catholic by an Italian and a Polish mother, very Catholic. I was obedient to the best of my ability. What I want to talk about now is the prenup was all in place, okay? The prenup, you have to get separate attorneys and so on, but I'll just mention a couple of things here that are asked so you know what's asked in the prenup, because I highly recommend a prenup. And the only reason why is you talk about a prenup, and if they refuse to sign a prenup, walk away. In fact, run away. Because the people that are going to say don't sign a prenup are usually the parents, a brother or sister or somebody, a friend that's been through a divorce. You know what? I didn't tell anybody. I was ashamed. But I thought that was the right thing to do as a businessman, because I've been in business for 50 years. I thought this is just part of the due diligence. It's a contract. I wanted to protect my assets along with my children's assets. I got 3 adult children. I believe they were all married before I got married the second time. So the first question is, in her case, it was Schedule B, assets of the prospective wife. She was a prospective wife. She reports in honesty, in truth, okay, that she's got IRAs, she got bank accounts, credit card, life insurance, vehicles, property, and other. Didn't mention liabilities, okay? In my case, I had an official net worth statement. Here's my assets, here's my liability. I will take complete responsibility for mine, okay? Separate attorneys do this, and you pay the attorney separately. And then everything is done independently of each other. And you go through the process. And once the prenup, and you have to have the prenup, I would say, to be safe, at least 30 to 60 days ahead of your marriage by the state. Forget about the church. I thought the church was more important than the state. It's not true. The state owns you once you're married. Catholic Church has nothing to do with civil court. Nothing. That was one of my mistakes. I didn't let anybody know that I had a prenup. You need witnesses up and beyond the attorneys. Tell people, more or less be proud that you got a prenup. As I mentioned before, there's prenup, no matter what assets. If you're marrying and you just say, hey, let's do things right, and we're talking about the woman being the breadwinner or the man being the breadwinner, it doesn't matter. And the families, if they have money, you got to protect the family. I'm talking about not only your children, your parents and your brothers and sisters, because it's not blood. Who counts on a divorce? But think about 50 to 80% of people go through divorce nowadays. Yeah, we didn't look at the prenup until 12 years later when I said to my soon-to-be ex-wife, hey, listen, let's meet with a mediator. We got the prenup. We got everything in play. I'm going to offer you a one-time lump, cash, 6 figures, to walk away from the deal, and it's okay. Don't worry about it. We could do this in 60 days. Mediator actually told me, Rock, you can get divorced for $1,000. Okay? Just do the document. You don't need a lawyer. You don't need a lawyer to get divorced. So, what did she do? She put a cease and desist on the mediator. So my mediator contacted me. I should say, yeah, the mediator that was suggested to me and said, hey, Rock, let's do this. What happened was we gave her like 2 weeks to think about it. I was traveling, so I thought, okay, no problem. Here's the mediator. Here's my offer. Think about it. To me, it's an offer. You counter it, but you work it out. You settle it over bread. We didn't really fight. We didn't have abuse in our home and stuff like that. We just walked away from each other. Bottom line was there was no respect. Actually, I didn't trust her. And it took me 12 years. I'm a slow learner. It was my Catholic background. During COVID, it got worse. And then the lies and secrets are so bad. Bottom line here, it was something that would never come back. So I just tried to work it out with her. Guess what she did? She went out and hired an attorney. And what I didn't learn till later was she actually got an attorney a year before to assess the situation until the day came. It came about a year later. She hired that same attorney that she retained a year earlier. How did we find out? What they call discovery. Her credit cards. A year before, she had hired the same firm. That's how unprepared I was. I went out and got an attorney because I am the one that petitioned, because I got scared to the point where, oh my God, do I have to get an attorney? What I really discovered was, no, you don't need an attorney. If I had to do it all over it, and that's why I'm doing these YouTubes. You don't need an attorney. If they contest it, it's just going to cost you money. Even if they contest it, let them hire the attorney, and then you just respond, react. You got time. I'm talking about the breadwinner. You got time to get your shit together. And as I mentioned before, I learned something from my second attorney that said, Rock, they call it bifurcate, which is you can get divorced through the state. It's called split. It's a Latin word for split. You could get divorced, be a single person, and then come back and work on the assets. That's what we did. But it was too late. I wanted to talk about the affidavit. I think it's very important to understand, if you have to go through an affidavit, it's all bullshit. It's supposed to be legitimate. It's supposed to be signed. It's not supposed to be, here's a statement that is going to really fuck you up. I, in her name, being sworn, certify that the following information is true. Did you hear what I said? It's true. I got it highlighted all over about all the lies. And this is something that's been signed. An attorney submitted it to the courts. They know you're not going to get to court. 99% of people don't get to court. A court's too expensive. But remember I told you about her assets were under $10,000? Guess what they were 12 years later? With no work, housemaker, no kids, no pets, no assets. I paid all the bills. She was worth what she reported was close to $1 million. That's what she was worth. This is how fucked up this shit is. Now, I'm trying to get to the big statement. No child support, as I mentioned before. Right before the date it's signed and how she signed off on it was, under penalties of perjury, I declare I have read this document and the facts stated in it are true. It's all lies, man. And for her to even process this, her attorney probably invoiced her maybe $3,000, and I had to respond. I had to do the same thing. So let's just say $3,000 each, $6,000 to do one paperwork. And notice, it's just boilerplate. They submitted to the court, and we're going to court. We're going to fight this. We're going to win. Here's my tip to you. My tip is go pro se. Let them fight it. But before you go, you ask that prenup. Because if they walk away from the prenup or say, I'm not marrying you because don't you love me, that's the time to walk. Actually run. I got 2 more pieces of advice. I wish I would have did this. Now I'm experienced, okay? Get a professional investigator to get a background check and find out. Get a background check on the family. First, the prospective wife, and then also on the family, because you're really going to end up marrying the family, especially if in their dire straits financially, which they were. Okay? So, I'm giving you a lot of tips, man. This is tough shit. Male or female, if you're the breadwinner. The other thing here is if your family has money, you're a huge target, man, because they're going to think you're going to inherit something. No, these are your assets that you built. I had a 50-year career that I built on my own. No one else except my team that made me successful. You can't do that alone. You get, in my case, 2 wives that fucking take at least 25% of my income over 50 years. But guess what? That's better than 50%, like a lot of these guys are getting hit for, or more. But I'm telling you, process it by process. I've been asked, Rock, you got to do a checklist for male and female. I'm going to do that. But right now, I just want to get this shit off my chest and then start putting some notes down and get it down on paper where you can just download it and get it. So just keep listening to me. I appreciate it. Subscribe, listen, pass it on. Give me a up, give me a down. Comment. I'm your advocate. I'm not going to fight anybody. I want you to think long term. You're better off cutting your losses. But if you take the time out and find out if this person really loves you for the intent of love and support and grow, that's what you want. But you might be a target. A successful person is a target. That's why all these celebrities go through it and all these entrepreneurs. And by the way, entrepreneurs, 75% of the wealth in the world is entrepreneurs. Not doctors, not lawyers. Lawyers are fucking administration people. They're gold diggers. They're worse than your spouse because they know they're going to get some of that action. That means they reduce your opportunity for alimony. That's how bad it gets. But people don't get it. This is dire straits. You call me. No problem. No matter where you are in the country or in the world. And don't forget, here's a big stat. 90% of men, doesn't mean you're a breadwinner or not, 90% of men get hit with alimony. Only 3% of women. That's a big number, man. Big fucking number. And is it going to change? No. But if there's anything you could save, It's your kids' college, your home, whatever it is, your equity, your retirement. Get those attorneys out. That's the best thing you could do with your spouse. Let's do this. Let's work this out. Let's compromise. Make it a win-win for the kids, the family, for each other. Fuck the attorneys, man. I'm telling you, they're gold diggers. So I'll talk to you soon. This is Rock. Checking out. I'll talk to you soon. I'm your divorce strategist.